All right, let's take a look at the first preset here. I am using the audio issues EQ, which is my creation, but I'm going to walk you through some of my favorite starting points so that you can use the same presets even if you don't have the audio issues EQ. I obviously highly recommend it, but let me show you some frequency ranges that often get in the way of your mixes, or get in the way of making your mixes sound good. So we're doing the drum bus start. So this preset would be used as a starting point for when you are using a drum bus, for when you are mixing all of the drums together. So what you see here on the top is you have a filter at 29 Hertz. You're just filtering out this like little bit on the low end. Not a huge deal. It's more like you're checking that off to make sure that you don't have unnecessary low end rumble that you can't even hear, but is taking up energy in your mix. And then we have a cut at the 300 to 400 range in the boxy range, because boxiness is a huge common problem when it comes to drums. They often sound very boxy. So when you want to reduce that and remove that, you just look between sort of 300, 400, maybe some harmonics around 600, but that's why that's sort of here. And then you would start here, but then, you know, look for where it would be more boxy or less boxy, and then you cut to taste. And then we have just a little bit of a dip here around 2K. Often you'll get harshness from the cymbals, from the hi-hat in particular, and sometimes the snare sounds too sort of snary or papery. I don't personally like that. I like a big thick snare, so I have this cut here. However, it might not be necessary. That's why these are starting points and guidelines, not you set them up and forget them. You kind of have to tweak it accordingly. And then on the bottom here, and I'm going to let you in on some secret frequencies, there is the punch at 100 Hertz. You just add a little bit of punch at 100 Hertz just to bring out that kick drum. And you could have the thump at 60 Hertz or so, but I put that at 100. So keep that in mind when you are EQing. If you're boosting your kick drum at 100, and then you have problems with your kick and bass not fitting together, maybe you need to cut that 100 Hertz in your bass so that you give that frequency range to the kick drum instead. And then we have power at a couple of dBs. This EQ is very sensitive and it does a lot with very little. And so I have power at about 500. That usually brings out the sort of attack, not attack per se, or sort of the power. Well, that's why it's called power. The power of the snare drum there. And then edge, often, you kind of want maybe like a little bit of bite from your snare there. That's about 1K to 2K. And then clarity, and then brilliance. Often this might not be overkill, but you see if you add a little bit at a few frequencies, you might get a better sum of their parts than if you just added 5 dBs of power and nothing on here, right? And then air really lifts out those cymbals and really helps you bring sort of, air. That's why it's called air. And so you want to add air, want to add above 10K, maybe a shelf at 10K. It would look kind of something like that, maybe at 10K, and that brings out the high end of your drum kit. Often the air, not just from the cymbals, but from the overall harmonics of the drums themselves. So that's the drum bus start. Let's look at another preset in the next video.